If you've tried YNAB, watched the tutorials, maybe even set up a full budget, and you still feel behind with your money, in my experience, YNAB usually isn't the problem. It's how you're trying to use it. If your experience so far has been set everything up, stay on top of it for a few weeks, and then life happens and it all falls apart, well, you're not alone, and it's not just that you suck with money. See, over the last 8 years, I've helped more than 2,000 people learn how to manage their money with YNAB. I've personally reviewed hundreds of real YNAB budgets, and I keep seeing the same thing over and over and over. So here's what we're going to do. First, we'll look at the 3 reasons that YNAB hasn't worked for you yet. Then I'll show you what you need to change for each one. And last, I'll give you one simple routine to help you actually stick with it this time. Nothing fancy, just what I see working over and over again in real budgets. So let's start with the big one. Most people come to YNAB from something like Mint or Every Dollar or Monarch, maybe some bank tracking app or a spreadsheet. So they're used to the idea of I'm going to track where my money went and then look at it and see how I did. So they decide to basically use YNAB the exact same way. They connect their bank accounts, categorize their spending, and then at the end of the month, they look back and go, oops, didn't mean to spend that much. That's tracking. The problem is that YNAB is built to be a planning tool. The real power here is in giving every dollar a job before you spend money and checking the category before you swipe the card, and then using what happened to tweak the plan slightly going forward. So if you've essentially been using YNAB as a prettier tracker, it makes sense that it hasn't really changed how you feel about your money. Tracking is a good first step, but if you stop there, you'll end up having tracked your money for years while your life looks basically the same. This is the first reason that YNAB hasn't worked for you. You treat YNAB like a tracking app, not a planning tool. So what do you do instead? Well, I want you to take a second and just think about the last 3 to 5 purchases you've made just in the last week or so. Maybe go look at YNAB if you don't know what they are, and then ask yourself a question. Did I look at my budget before I spent that money? Or did I just spend it and then categorize it later? If it's the second one, you're not actually using YNAB the way that it's designed. The shift I want you to make is I don't check YNAB to see what happened. I check YNAB to decide what to do next. That single mindset shift usually does more for people than agonizing over creating the perfect budget or getting the best credit card rewards ever will. Speaking of agonizing over the perfect budget, most new YNABers tend to set up budgets with too many accounts, too many categories, or super generic categories that hide what's really going on. This is the second reason that I see YNAB not working, is that the setup itself is too complex or too vague. Let me give you a few rules of thumb that I use when I'm inside someone's budgets. When it comes to accounts, I like to see one main checking, one main savings, and one main credit card. If you have more than that, I want you to have a very good reason for doing so. Every extra account that you add means more transactions, more reconciling, more places for things to go wrong. And most folks just don't need 6 checking accounts and credit cards. Time and time again, when I see someone who has this, they tend to be an over-optimizer who's constantly tripping over dollars to pick up pennies. I regularly see folks overbuying their cars and houses and then trying to optimize their credit card points because, oh, this card pays an extra 1% on groceries versus this one over here. At $1,500 a month for groceries, that extra 1% is like 15 bucks. I promise that is not going to be the thing that makes or breaks you. Like accounts, having too many categories gets very overwhelming very quickly. If you've got 120 categories, it's going to be almost impossible to see the big picture. You're going to get lost in the details and you won't be able to answer simple questions like, how much are we really spending eating out? Or how much are the kids' activities actually costing us? Or what is our total spend on routine bills versus discretionary spending versus saving up for irregular expenses? When I review budgets, I'm usually looking to combine overly detailed categories that don't matter and then split generic categories that are hiding important differences. For example, a single food category that's got groceries, restaurants, gas station snacks, and DoorDash all combined into one, that doesn't make any sense. It's going to be really hard to learn anything that we can then use to impact our behavior. Because groceries for the family and I was sad, so I bought a pint of Ben & Jerry's and DoorDash to pizza are very different things. If you want to use your budget to make better decisions, you need categories that show you the difference between needs and coping, convenience and connection, alignment with your values versus just random spending. The action step here is I want you to look at one category group, say food or fun and lifestyle, and ask yourself, when I look at this, can I tell what's actually going on? Or is everything kind of just mushed together? If it's all mush, I want you to add 1 to 2 categories that capture the purpose behind your spending, not just what it is technically. Every week, I get emails from people who literally tell me, Nick, I watched your video about keeping it simple and I ignored you. And now I'm not sure how to fix this mess I've got. Now, if that's you, please, no shame. I understand the temptation to want all of the information, but hear me out. You don't need a million categories. You just need the right categories that help you make better decisions. Speaking of making better decisions, the budget will never help you improve your life if you're not looking at it regularly. This is the third and most important reason that I see YNAB not work. You don't have a simple, consistent routine, and so your budget slowly drifts into, I'll fix that later land. Here's how this usually goes. You get excited and set everything up. You keep up with it for a week or two, and then you miss a few days. The idea of catching up starts to feel heavy, so you avoid it, and you eventually stop opening the app altogether. This is totally normal, and I see it all the time. The fix is designing a routine that's so small you can do it on an average Tuesday even when you're tired. Let me show you the 10-minute routine that I have most of my students start with. By the way, you can actually download a copy of this cheat sheet if you like it using the link in the description below. But the first step is to open YNAB and to record or approve your transactions. Basically, you're just going to categorize them. And if you log into YNAB and you see all these crazy colors and negative numbers and things you don't understand, but you haven't finished categorizing things yet, of course you're confused. Nothing that you see on the planning screen will ever make any sense until you've categorized. So you've got to do that first. And here's the thing, if you do this every day, you might have 5, 10 transactions. If it takes you 20 to 30 seconds per transaction, we're talking about 3 to 5 minutes on this first part. The second step is going to be to cover overspending. So once you've categorized everything, you'll head over to the plan tab and you'll look and see where you've gone over budget. And now you need to make a decision about the trade-offs that you want to make in order to cover it. If you went over on eating out, maybe you now need to take from your clothing category to cover the overspending. The last step of our daily routine is to now check the categories before spending. If I'm doing my daily routine in the morning, I really just need to do the first 2 things. The idea of checking the categories before spending is really going to be an in-the-moment decision. This is where having the app on your phone and being able to whip it out before you buy something on Amazon or go out to eat is really helpful. The key, of course, is doing those first 2 steps first. If you've categorized everything and you don't have any negative red, you can trust what you see on the plan tab. So now we just need to skim and see if we have money where we need it for this upcoming week or the decision that we're about to make. If I look and see that I don't have money for something that I know I need, like groceries or gas or maybe a bill that's coming up or going out to eat this weekend, then I need to make a decision ahead of time of where I would like to take the money from so that I can do what I want to do. If you do this basically every day, your budget never gets far behind and you'll always have a good pulse on exactly where things are at. And because this routine really does take less than 10 minutes, it's small and it doesn't freak your brain out every time you think you need to open up YNAB. I often do my daily routine in the morning while the coffee is brewing, and then by the time the coffee is done, my YNAB is done, and I can move on with my day. If you take nothing else from this video, I want you to try this routine just for the next 7 to 10 days and see how it feels. All right, let's zoom out for a second. We just talked about using YNAB as a planning tool instead of a tracking tool, making sure that your setup isn't fighting you, your categories and your accounts, and then running a simple daily routine so that it holds everything together. Those 3 shifts alone can be enough to take you from, I tried YNAB once, to YNAB has literally changed my financial life. And if you would like help implementing these changes and much more, I invite you to check out my program, Ahead in 100. In this program, we use my values-based budgeting approach to get clear on the life that you actually want, build a YNAB-powered spending plan to match it, and then we install habits to help keep the whole thing running. And if you're watching this video around the time it comes out, enrollment is now open for our May 4th, 2026 cohort. You can click the link in the description below to watch a full breakdown video and see if it's a good fit for you. Either way, I hope this video helped you see why YNAB hasn't been working for you yet and what you need to change so it finally does. If you found this useful, let me know in the comments below which of the 3 reasons hit home the most, and I'll make more videos diving deeper into that piece. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.